inside Colonial Sports Center. Football heads to North Alabama looking to tame the Lions. Hometown kid Mackenzie Amelia and Danielle Vuvetich are in studio ready to give a look at their upcoming season. And former men's hockey superstar Brady Ferguson talks about his time in Sweden. See Harpoo CSC.
Hello everyone, welcome back inside for this edition of Colonial Sports Center. I'm Tyler Gallo alongside Colby Sherwin. And Colby, we have a jam-packed show for the ladies and gentlemen at home, don't we?
That's right. We got a bunch of interviews, including basketball, as Ethan was talking about in the intro. We have some football, volleyball, and soccer. Tyler, what are you excited for?
You know, I'm excited for the whole show. We got a really good breakdown week. There's a lot of action this week, and we'll take it right to one of the biggest games of the weekend.
That's right. To kick off the show, we're going to go to football. They were looking after a big win on homecoming. The football team was looking to continue their momentum against Northern Alabama Lions. I'd be lying to you if I said this game against the Lions went well. Let's take a look. And it's 7-0 North Alabama here. George Martin in the gun at Brantley Stadium. Martin, he'll take the snap, fake it's Jordan Johnson, and he'll take care of himself. Touchdown, 7-7 here in Northern Alabama, as Martin took it into the house. Rhett Fowles in the gun here. He's going to give it to Parker Driggers. He's a wide receiver, bounce off a tackle, and he heads to the end zone. 14-7. Northern Alabama. Now look at this play. Driggers bounces off his own lineman in his end zone, and he's going to go all the way to the house. Not a single Colonial except this one was able to get a hand on him as he walks in untouched to go up 21-7. Northern Alabama will give you another look at this. The redshirt freshman bounces in his own lineman, as I said, and then he'll take care of himself. He went all the way to the house.
Longest rush in Big South history.
99-yard touchdown. He won Big South Player of the Week. Fowles in the gun here. He's looking. He's going to throw it all the way to E.J. Rogers. His first college touchdown. Martin here, he's going to have to answer back. It's 35-10, and he will as he hits James Westry, making it 35-17. Colonial's going to throw a screen pass to Elijah Jackson, and he's going to make everybody miss. Whoop! He'll head into the end zone. Touchdown, Colonials. The game's going to get close here, 35-24. But Rhett Fowles says, I'll take care of it myself with all sorts of time. It's a wide open Kobe Warren for a touchdown. And this is putting lipstick on a pig as Anthony Chickett throws a touchdown pass to Chris Charles as they make it 42-31. The Lions get their first win of the season, Tyler.
Yeah, and it certainly wasn't a sweet home Alabama for the football team this weekend. But, you know, Nate Breisinger breaks down all the happenings in that game. Take it away, Nate.
For the first time in a long time, it's a brand new edition of Nate's Notebook. And today I'll be breaking down Robert Morris football's loss against North Alabama from this past weekend. And we will also be hearing from head coach himself, Bernard Clark. The Colonials have struggled mightily on the road to start the season, losing all three games against Central Michigan, an FBS opponent, North Carolina A&T, and now North Alabama. And it didn't help that it was a 7 p.m. start, allowing the Colonials to sort of wait around throughout the day, and they had a lackadaisical start as Parker Driggers took the opening kick 58 yards into Colonials territory, and then he would score moments later. Clark spoke on his team's effort in the first few minutes of the game and how they struggled to set the tone.
That's the biggest issue. We started out slow, and my whole talk was, hey, we got to start out fast. Let's start out fast. And then we give up that big run on kickoff return for them, and they return it to our plus 40. You can't play arena football in this league. So that's what it felt like we were playing a lot of times.
Although the Colonials responded right away after that early touchdown to make it 7-7, the Colonials have not been a first-half team. They've only combined 17 points on the road this season in the first half across their three games at Central Michigan, North Carolina A&T, and now North Alabama. And North Alabama would respond as well. A 99-yard touchdown run, the longest in Big South history for Parker Driggers, as he would go on. And then in the ensuing kickoff, a special teams gaffe once again. Colonials being very costly. Jonathan Wynn on the kick return, fumbling the ball. The Lions, opportunistic, were able to score. Colonials cannot make those mistakes from here on out. But surprisingly, even though the Colonials were down 35-10 going into halftime, Coach Clark still believed in his team and thought they had a fighting chance.
Hi, Chris. You know, I want them battling 60-plus minutes. Our guys are doing a great job of battling 60-plus minutes. They know they have an opportunity to win the game as long as there's time on the clock. So, and that's the attitude they went in there with. You know, that's when I called them up at halftime. You know, everybody thought I was going to yell and scream at them. No, that's not what I did. I just told them, I said, hey, guys, we can come from behind. You know?
The Colonials were able to make some noise starting in the second half. In the third quarter, they scored twice through the air. James Westry, an 18-yard touchdown reception, and Elijah Jackson, 22 yards out of the backfield on a reception from George Martin. The Colonials' pass game has been exceptional so far this season. After only 8 passing attempts against Central Michigan to start the year, they have really been sound moving forward. A lot of different weapons in the wide receiver game. George Martin has started to connect and hit those guys. Coach Clark has talked about how this team has improved over the past few games and how they also need to get that running game going with Elijah Jackson to make a more balanced approach.
All right, Chris, we're still trying to get our running game going. I know you hear me talk about it every week. We're still trying to get where we're consistently getting those 3, 4, 5 yards of pop. And until that happens, we're going to have to utilize our passing attack. And George is doing a good job of finding the open guy. And like you said, with Westry and Hicks, and even don't forget our tight ends with Moss and Dillon, those guys also have been good weapons for him. He's been able to find them, and Jack's the other guy that we talk about.
Through the first 5 games, Robert Morris's offensive production has come basically through the air. 8 touchdowns compared to 3 touchdowns on the ground through the rush game. And 2 of those touchdowns came from George Martin himself. The Colonials moving forward need to find a better balance between the run and the pass. Elijah Jackson has the capability to do so. He's elusive, he can make people miss, he's effective. He's a guy that has a lot of speed as well. The Colonials on the outside in the pass game have a lot of weapons. DeAndre Hicks, 4 touchdowns so far this year, leads the team. James Westry, the redshirt freshman, 224 receiving yards, also leads that team in that category. The Colonials are 115th in the FCS so far this year. On the ground, 78.2 yards per game. Absolutely terrible. Now the pass game a little bit better, 79th in the FCS, 193 yards per game. They can do a lot better. There's a lot of improvement, and there's 5 games left to do so. They take on Gardner-Webb at 2-14 coming in. They are all coming off of back-to-back losses against Campbell and Monmouth. Colonials have the opportunity to take the next step, find that offense. They'll also need some help defensively as well on the road as they are looking for their first Big South road win in history. So that'll close it on this edition of Nate's Notebook.
Thank you, Nate. It's always a treat to see Nate's notebooks. But let's take a look at the stats of the game against the Northern Alabama Lions. As Nate was talking about, Parker Driggers, what a day. 12 rushes, 146 yards, and Tyler, 3 touchdowns. You don't see that a lot.
Not at all. And like we said earlier, longest rush in Big South history. Anyone Big South Offensive Player of the Weekend. Didn't really look much like a wide receiver on that running play he had, but it shows just how far behind RMU is in the rushing game. While they could match up with anybody in the passing side, which they've actually found later as the year's gone along, the rushing game has really been poor for the team this season. Just 81 yards, another game with sub 100 yards rushing. They really need to figure that out soon if they're going to stick around.
The one thing that has continued to plague this team is the inability to have a balance on the offensive side of the ball. Sure, you put up 31 points, but only 81 rushing yards is not going to do it in conference play. The coordinators and the coaches have got to figure out a way to get balance in this offense.
That's right, Colby. When we come back, we're between a rock and the hardwood as we take it to volleyball and interview with 2 women's basketball players. Stick around here on Colonial Sports Center.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign, not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a 4th ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Freedom. It's at the core of who we are. The freedom to live without fear, to jog where we please, to wear a hoodie. The freedom to breathe. Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. Now anything but lonely.
We have this deep connection, this heart connection.
He just wants to be close to you and part of your life.
Every day with turtle is a perfect day.
When I'm holding her, it makes me feel calmer.
I think everything he does shows how much he loves us.
When we adopt a shelter pet,
we discover
they're a little bit of a lot of things,
but they're all pure love.
Welcome back to Colonial Sports Center. Now, the volleyball team headed on their Midwest swing for a pretty long road trip over the weekend, and for their first one, they took on Wright State. Now, they haven't won a set since October 8th. They've been swept in all their matches. Could they pull through, or would they be once again raiders of the lost sets? Let's take a look at that game against Wright State. And once again, they were swept. That was a really good matchup in the first one, 30-28, a bunch of extra points. Couldn't pull it out, and then really just ran out of gas in the last 2, being upended over the last 2. Megan Alders had the biggest day for the Raiders, 10 kills, 10 points, and really just led the way. I mean, 12 points and 2 aces for Emma Granger, but it was not enough as they fell to the Raiders by a score of 3-0.
As Tyler just said, the volleyball team did fall to Wright State. They were looking to extinguish the flames of UIC and finally win a set. Let's take a look. And unfortunately, no, they were extinguished by the Flames. They were swept 25-11, 25-22, and 25-15. Emma Granger led the way with 8.5 points, 12 attacks. Paula Santiago, 17.5 points and 15 kills. Tyler, what happened in the next match?
It's really just been a tough go of things. And like you said, on the Midwest trip, it did not end there. Perhaps the farthest trip is the one where they head to the home of the Cheeseheads in Green Bay. Could they rise from the ashes, or would they be clipped by the Phoenix? Let's take a look at that game. And once again, they fell by a score of 3-0. That's a bunch of consecutive games in a row where they've just not put up a set win. Again, getting to those extra points, but not pulling it out and running out of gas. These ones were much closer than the others. But again, Alexandra Zakutny with 16.5 points and then a clean 37 assists from Callie Gentry as they fell. Once again, the Colonials did it by a score of 3-0. And now we're going to send it over to the inspiration of the song Cult of Personality by Living Color. Ethan Morrison, take it away. He's sitting down with two women's basketball players.
Well, thank you, Tyler. I'm joined here with Danielle Vuvetich and Mackenzie Amelia. Guys, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
Yep. So first I want to start off with you, Danielle. Why did you choose to come here to RMU to play basketball?
Well, I chose here because mainly of the coaches. I was very fond of Coach B and the coaching staff. I felt like when I came on my visit that they treated me really well, and the culture and our 5 pillars that we have, it really defined like who I was, and I knew like being a part of the program that it would help me like not only improve my basketball skills but also like make me a better person as well. And then on the academic side of things is I wanted to come here for academics because I was going to be a nursing major, but now I switched to sports psychology with a dual minor in education and special education. And the overall academics here is just phenomenal, and that's really why I came here.
Same question to you.
Yeah, well, she described it perfectly. It was the same for me. It was kind of unique because Robert Morris was my last offer and my last visit, and I was always told by my parents and my sister, she committed before me, she was older than me, she had like the recruiting experience, and they always said whenever I had a feeling that I knew where I was supposed to be, that's where I would end up. So as soon as I had my meeting and my recruit visit with the coaching staff, I just knew as soon as I left that this is where I was supposed to be, and I felt that in my heart. And just the coaching staff had great culture and the pillars, as Danny mentioned, and just really defined who I was. And I know Coach B specifically is very religious, which I am as well. So that was just something that was very important to me, and I felt that the staff as a whole could make me better on the court and off the court, and they would be able to further my career in basketball and whatever I choose in the future.
And you're close to home. You're only like 20 minutes away.
Yeah.
And you even got your first offer from Duquesne in 7th grade. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So you got offers from say Bonaventure, Valparaiso, all of those schools. What made you stay closer to home? Was it like everything about the coaching staff, like you mentioned?
Yeah, so it wasn't a plan for me to stay home. I visited Vermont, which was maybe 10 hours away, It really wasn't my plan. It was kind of just a gift, really. Just the coaching staff and just the culture that they have here and the morals, the values, that was really important to me, and I just knew that to be a better person, that this is where I was supposed to be.
Now, Danielle, actually both you guys, you guys finished your recruiting in your junior years of high school. Did that take a lot of the pressure and the stress off of you going into your senior years of high school?
Yeah, for sure. So my recruiting process actually started when I was a sophomore, and throughout the years of recruitment, there's so much pressure on me and everything. It was a good process. I enjoyed the process and everything, and got to see all the schools, what they had to offer and everything. But when time was ticking down, so to speak, and I had buckle down and make sure okay, what schools do I want to go to, what schools have what I want and what fits me the best. And ultimately, like Mackenzie said, Robert Morris was my last offer as well, and so I ultimately chose here for the culture and everything.
Yeah, personally, I didn't really feel too much pressure. I just kind of went with the flow of it. I knew that I would know exactly where I was supposed to be whenever that came to me. That's just my faith and my religion. So I really just put it in God's hands and trusted whatever my plan was supposed to be, that was going to happen. And like I said, I knew I was supposed to be here. So, I mean, yeah, it relieved some pressure, but just having like my faith in the whole process, I really wasn't too worried about it.
Yep. So, last year you guys struggled down the stretch, down the whole season, a lot of COVID issues. So, what are you guys looking most forward to this year and, trying to improve that team? You got a young squad.
Yeah, so I've been thinking about this. I'm super excited to have fans this year. That was something that was really unique for us last year, but I mean, my freshman year, I never experienced an actual college game yet. So I'm really looking forward to that. And just being in my hometown, being able to have people that have came to my high school games be able to come and see me in college and my team, and just see how I've grown in college at my new level. And yeah, just having like family members come and be able to support me.
And Danielle, I mean, you didn't really have that college experience yet, but how much are you looking forward to this season?
I'm looking forward to this season a lot. It's a big jump from high school to college, but with like the atmosphere and like new teammates and a new team, I'm really looking forward to this season. It's gonna be definitely one like not to forget.
And obviously, guys, Madness is next Thursday. Are you guys looking forward to that?
Yeah, I think it'll be a cool experience, kind of just a little glimpse of what this season will be like, get a little bit of fans there, and just kind of get our energy ready and excited for the season. Yeah, so I'm definitely looking forward to it, and being able to get with the teams and, just show out.
Yeah, Kenzie just summed it up. It's going to be great to have everyone back in the event center and cheering us on. And like she said, it's going to give everyone a glimpse of what our culture is about and being with the men's basketball team as well while we have Madness Night.
Well, guys, I want to thank you once again for coming on and talking to me tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Yeah.
So when we come back, John Hanna sat down with Brady Ferguson to discuss his time in Sweden. Stick it right here on CSC.
He shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right, because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign, not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Freedom. It's at the core of who we are. The freedom to live without fear, to jog where we please, to wear a hoodie. The freedom to breathe. Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. Now anything but lonely.
We have this deep connection, this heart connection.
He just wants to be close to you and part of your life.
Every day with turtle is a perfect day.
When I'm holding her, it makes me feel calmer.
I think everything he does shows how much he loves us.
When we adopt a shelter pet,
we discover
they're a little bit of a lot of things,
but they're all pure
love.
Welcome back to Colonial Sports Center. Now, men's hockey has had a lot of players in its history and a lot of stars, but none perhaps brighter than Brady Ferguson. Jonathan Hanna, our own, sat down with him to discuss his time in Sweden.
Then came along Mark Workman from RMU and then Derek Schooley. And then they offered me a scholarship. I accepted it, and then after another year of juniors, I went to school in Moon Township, and after a great 4 years on and off the ice, some of the best memories I've had playing hockey, and some of my closest friends are from school, so it was a great time there. And then after a couple successful seasons, my junior and senior year, I started talking to some NHL teams, and it worked out with Toronto. They offered me a deal to go to the American League with the Marlies. And after that, after my senior year, I went and played a couple games the year they won it. But then got the summer off. We went back to Leafs camp and ended up with the Newfoundland Growlers, which was probably at first wasn't something I was happy about, but at the end of the day, it worked out, and it was somewhere where I developed and, learned a lot about myself as a player and as a person. And those, again, were another 2 years that I don't regret at all. They're unbelievable. So, like, some of the most fun I've had playing hockey. It was an unbelievable culture I mean, again, I've never heard of Newfoundland. I've always heard of Toronto, but never knew the province of Newfoundland. And it was unbelievable. It was a great time, amazing culture. And then the second year was kind of weird just with COVID. We had another great team again. Toronto had, recruited a lot of good players from college and juniors, and we had a lot of returners. So we were destined for a nice playoff run, and then COVID happened. So it was pretty weird. It kind of sucked. And, I was driving home like the next day, it was pretty unfortunate, but then honestly that summer was really weird because I didn't have a contract the next year. I didn't even know if I was going to be playing hockey anymore. I had my degree from Robert Morris, so I kind of started looking at jobs. I didn't really know if I was going to play anymore. And then I was lucky enough to kind of hear from a few European teams, and Chris Abbott and Cam Abbott called from Rogla, and it just seemed to have a mutual fit, and we kind of gelled on the phone, and it worked out that I was going to come to Sweden. And the SHL is, before coming here, I didn't really know much about it because I was, more focused on trying to make the American League and, work my way up. And then coming to the SHL, it's probably one of the best leagues in the world. It's probably pretty comparable to the American League, if not better. That's what some people say. It's a different game. It's a little faster than the American League, but the American League is probably a bit more physical and, translates to the NHL a bit more. But a lot of guys from the SHL and the second league in Sweden go right over to the NHL and, perform just as good as anyone. So, it was a huge adjustment for myself coming over here at first. And then, I found a role on this team, and we had a really good first year. We had an unbelievable team. I got to play with some crazy good, talented guys. So it was a pretty cool experience. And unfortunately, we lost in the finals. But again, it was so good, a pretty cool experience. But this year started off pretty strong for our team. We got to play in the CHL this year. We went to Germany, Switzerland, and now I think we're going back to Switzerland for the next one.
Thank you, Jonathan. Now, if you want to see the rest of the interview and so much more, check out Colonial Sports Network. The writers over there have you covered for not just all things with interviews and stuff like that, but the basketball teams, football teams, soccer, and volleyball all have their seasons going on right now. Everything's over there for you on colonialsportsnetwork.com and on Twitter at RMU_CSN. Tyler, let's kick it with soccer.
That's right. No team is hotter on campus right now than perhaps the men's soccer team, who took on the Virginia Military Institute Keydets for their last non-conference game of the year. Could they go out on a high note, or would they end their non-conference schedule? Looking for answers. Let's see how they did in this game. And it's perhaps their best performance of the season. Now, VMI hasn't won a conference game since I believe it was 2013 in the SoCon, and it was a hat trick for Brian Akongo, his first collegiate hat trick and the first RMU hat trick since Nico Brett did so on August 30th, 2015 against Horizon League foe Cleveland State. And he scored 4 goals in that game. What a game it's been for Brian Akongo, who I sat down with a couple of weeks ago, and he said, we're just looking to get into a stretch run. I'm looking to get some things done, and he got something done in this game. He got that hat trick out of the way.
Now, after the women's soccer team fell to Wright State, they were looking to pick up a win against Green Bay. Let's take a look. IUPI. The Jaguars and the Colonials ended up tying 0-0. Elizabeth Bukers got 2 shots on goal. AP Woodall had 11 saves, and Isabella Boland had 6 saves as well. The Colonials will be back in action on Saturday against Oakland at Oakland, and the Jaguars will have their senior day on Saturday as they take on Youngstown State.
That's right. They earned another result in conference play this season as they looked to battle against the teams that are ahead of them in the conference, and it was a good old-fashioned goalkeeper duel. But when we come back, we've got Morrison's Minute, the return of it from last week, and we've got our games to watch. You won't want to miss it here on Colonial Sports Center.
When I first saw Turtle, my heart was full. Now anything but lonely.
We have this deep connection, this heart connection.
He just wants to be close to you and part of your life.
Every day with Turtle is a perfect day.
When I'm holding her, it makes me feel calmer.
I think everything he does shows how much he loves us.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a little bit of a lot of things.
But they're all pure love.
If I could go back and change it all, I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all, if I could go back, I would. But I can't.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly and put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
Welcome back to Colonial Sports Center. Our Minute megastar, Ethan Morrison, was back for Morrison's Minute, this time at Joe Allen Stadium. Let's take a look.
Welcome back to another segment of Morrison's Minute. I'm Ethan Morrison, and today we're at beautiful Joe Walton Stadium. Now, we're in some of the elements. A little rain, a little wind. Hey, but that never hurt nobody. So, let's get into my top 3 predictions of the week. Now, first off, George Martin, he will throw over for 300 yards this weekend in Boiling Springs, North Carolina. The past 2 games, he has thrown over 250 yards. So, seeing the trends and see how that lines up, I think he will throw over for 300 yards in this game. Next, RMU men's soccer will beat Detroit Mercy. RMU men's soccer has won out at 3 of the last 4 games, and they're going to roll right into Detroit. It beat the Titans. Brenda Congo also had a hat-trick in his last game, so they are trending upwards and could make a push into the postseason. Finally, football will get their first road win since 2019 after losing 42-31 against North Alabama. It was a tight game. They will be able to pull it out this Saturday against Gardner-Webb, who is now 2-4 and 0-2 in conference thus far. Well, that's it for this week's segment of Morrison's Minute. Till next time, let's kick it. Back to the studio.
Thank you, Ethan. That kick wasn't on target, but he was talking about football. So my game to watch this week is the football game. Let's take a look at that. The football team will head to Gardner-Webb University as they take on the Bulldogs. DeAndre Hicks had a game, 21 receptions, 197 yards and 4 TDs. And the defensive back for the Bulldogs, 4 interceptions, a sack, and 17 pass breakups, and 1 touchdown. They're going to be scary.
That's right, and let's hope that game goes a lot better than Ethan Morrison's kicking prowess, and I hope Nick Biseglia knows how to kick a football better than that. Let's take it to another kicking, let's keep it on the kicking theme and take it to soccer. Men's soccer, no team's hotter than them, as I said, so they're going to head to the Motor City and take on Detroit Mercy. Now, they're going to keep it rolling right into the playoffs. They could clinch their first postseason appearance since 2017 if they keep on keeping on. If they hold their own destiny at this point. They got 3 games against teams that are ahead of them or behind them. Very close, and like I said, Brian Akongo, 11 points this season. He's going to be, and then look at Jonathan Cleaver, who is one of the leaders in the NCAA, and I believe it's goals against average. He's just been on fire this season, so that's a game that I'm looking at this weekend, Colby.
Now we were talking about the games we think you should watch, but let's take a look at some other games that are coming up this weekend. You have golf versus Townsend, rowing versus at the Yinzers Cup, and women's soccer at Cleveland State. Tyler, anything else you want to see?
Well, volleyball is also in action. They hope to finally get another set win this year. And men's soccer, like I just said, 7 o'clock, primetime start in the Motor City. It's going to be a good weekend for them. And then we're going to take a look at the rest of the slate for this weekend. Sunday slate is golf still takes in their invitational at Towson. Volleyball is Cleveland State. And women's soccer takes on their local foes in the Horizon League in Youngstown State. It's certainly been an interesting season for all Army athletics as we head to the stretch run, Colby. And, I mean, what are you looking forward to this weekend outside of your game to watch?
I definitely am interested in the soccer game. We've seen, as you were talking about, Brian Akongo's put on a show, and they're on a hot streak. But the women's soccer team also looking to pick up a couple wins as the season winds down for them. What about you?
Like I said, the soccer team, but I'm always looking for the football team. It's a team that they can keep it rolling as the season goes along. That's all we have for you guys today. For Colby Sherwin, I've been Tyler Gallo. We'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning in here on this episode of Colonial Sports Center.